Imagine checking in the CEO of your own hotel without even knowing it. One huge mistake, and the consequences are beyond anything you could imagine. Stay with us to see how this simple error turned into a shocking, life-changing moment that no one saw coming. You won't believe what happens next. It was just another busy afternoon at the luxurious downtown hotel, bustling with guests and staff. The hum of conversations, the soft clinking of glasses from the bar area, and the rustling of luggage rolling across the marble floors filled the air. At the front desk, Emily, a young receptionist in her mid-20s, was diligently checking in a couple who had just arrived from a flight. She was focused on the computer screen, confirming their details and offering them a warm smile. As the couple made their way toward the elevator, the hotel's front doors swung open with a soft chime, catching Emily's attention. A tall, well-dressed man entered the lobby. He was dressed in a sharp, tailored suit, his dark hair neatly combed back, and his posture exuded an air of confidence and authority. The room seemed to quiet down for a moment, his presence immediately commanding attention. Without hesitation, the man walked directly to the reception counter. "Good afternoon, sir. How can I help you today?" Emily greeted him politely, still focused on her work. She didn't recognize him at first, though something about his demeanor felt different from the typical guest. He smiled slightly, the expression almost imperceptible but enough to add a sense of mystery. "I'd like to book a room," the man replied in a calm, steady voice. There was an undeniable quality to his speech. His tone was authoritative but not overly intimidating. Emily nodded and began entering his details into the system. As she typed, she noticed the name on the reservation, Blackwell. It was a name she had heard before, but she didn't think much of it, just another guest with an expensive last name. "Do you have a preferred room type, Mr. Blackwell?" she asked, glancing up at him. He offered a brief, knowing smile but didn't correct her mistake. The interaction seemed perfectly ordinary until Emily handed him the room key. The moment their fingers touched, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. After completing the check-in process, Emily handed the key card to Mr. Blackwell and gave him a polite smile. "Your room is ready, sir. Enjoy your stay." She didn't think twice about the interaction, assuming it was just another business guest staying at the hotel. She had handled countless check-ins before, and this one felt no different. As the man turned and walked away, Emily returned to her duties, oblivious to the gravity of what had just happened. Moments later, her manager, Sarah, walked over with a look on her face that immediately caught Emily's attention. Sarah's usual confident stride was replaced by a more serious demeanor. "Emily, I need to talk to you about something," she said, her voice tinged with concern. Confused, Emily paused what she was doing and turned towards Sarah. "What's wrong?" "I just got an email saying that Mr. Blackwell checked in," Sarah began, glancing around the lobby as if to make sure no one was overhearing. "He's the CEO of the hotel chain. Did you just check him in?" The words hit Emily like a freight train. She froze, her eyes widening in disbelief. "Wait, what?" That man was the CEO. Sarah nodded, her expression a mixture of disbelief and concern. Panic gripped Emily's chest as the realization dawned on her. She had completely failed to recognize Jared Blackwell, the very person who owned and ran the company she worked for. Not only had she not treated him with the special attention and care a CEO deserved, but she hadn't even known who he was. Emily's mind raced, thoughts of how to fix this overwhelming her. What if he was disappointed? What if he would tell her superiors about her mistake? What if this single error ruined her career? She had no idea how Jared Blackwell would react, but the fear of facing him again, especially knowing she'd made such a blunder, was almost unbearable. Meanwhile, Jared Blackwell, unaware of the chaos his check-in had caused in the back office, entered his hotel room with a quiet sense of purpose. As the CEO of the hotel chain, he rarely stayed in the properties he owned. His days were filled with meetings, decisions, and overseeing operations from a distance. But today, he had decided to experience his hotel from the guest's perspective, to see firsthand whether his company's high standards were being maintained and if the guest experience matched the promises his brand made. It was a rare opportunity to get a true sense of how things were being run on the ground level. He stepped into the room, taking in the luxurious surroundings. It had all the hallmarks of a high-end hotel: soft lighting, sleek furniture, and tasteful decor. But as Jared glanced around, his experience eye quickly caught a few small, but noticeable, details that were amiss. The toiletries in the bathroom were missing a few essentials. The room service menu was outdated, and the minibar didn't contain any of the items listed on the website. It wasn't much, but for someone as meticulous as Jared, these discrepancies were concerning. Interesting, he muttered to himself, mentally noting the inconsistencies. He wasn't upset yet, but he knew these were things that needed to be addressed. He decided to stay a bit longer and investigate further, curious about how the rest of the hotel was functioning. Soon enough, he made his way back down to the lobby. He was eager to see how the staff interacted with him as a regular guest. The last thing he expected, though, was what happened next. As he approached the front desk, he was taken aback by the receptionist's indifferent attitude. Emily had just checked him in, yet there was no recognition, no special treatment, not even a second glance from her. In fact, her casual smile felt almost dismissive. Jared couldn't help but feel a twinge of disbelief. Had she not known who he was? As Jared approached the front desk, Emily was still oblivious to the identity of the man standing before her. She was busy assisting another guest, her focus entirely on them. Jared waited patiently, watching the interactions between the staff and other customers, his expression calm and composed. Emily finally finished with her current guest and looked up at him, still unaware of the significance of the person in front of her. "Can I help you, sir? Can I help you, sir?" she asked, her voice as friendly and professional as ever. "Yes," Jared replied smoothly, his voice carrying a subtle authority. "I'm Mr. Blackwell, the CEO of this hotel. I believe I checked in earlier today. I had some concerns about my room." Emily's face drained of color. Her heart skipped a beat as the realization hit her like a ton of bricks. It was him, the very man she had checked in earlier without even recognizing. The CEO, standing right in front of her. Her eyes widened with embarrassment. Her eyes widened with embarrassment. "Mr. Blackwell, I didn't realize. I am so sorry," she stammered, her cheeks flushing red with mortification. Jared, however, seemed unfazed. He chuckled softly, his tone light. "It's all right, Emily. You did your job. I just wanted to see how things were running, but there are some issues with the room that need to be addressed." Emily apologized again, but Jared reassured her with a warm smile. "You don't need to apologize. You're doing your job. I just want to ensure the hotel is up to the standards we promise." As Sarah arrived at the front desk, her eyes immediately locked onto the familiar face of Jared Blackwell, the CEO. She instantly recognized him and, realizing the gravity of the situation, quickly began to explain what had happened. She outlined the issues with the room, her tone professional yet slightly frantic, as she worked to resolve the situation. Emily, still flustered and nervous, stood off to the side, trying to regain her composure. Jared, however, was calm and attentive. He listened to Sarah's explanation with patience, nodding thoughtfully as she spoke. When she finished, he turned to Emily, his demeanor still relaxed and encouraging. "Emily," he said, his voice steady but gentle, "don't worry about it. Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is that we learn from them and keep improving. We all have room for growth." The words were unexpected. There was no anger, no reprimanding, just a sense of understanding. Emily, still overcome with embarrassment, was stunned. In that moment, she realized that Jared's approach to leadership was different. He wasn't focused on punishing mistakes, but on using them as opportunities for growth. To everyone's surprise, Jared didn't fire Emily or cause any drama. Instead, he thanked her for her honesty and promised that the issues with the room would be addressed. He then turned to Sarah, providing constructive feedback on how the hotel could improve certain aspects of its guest experience. It wasn't the confrontation Emily had feared, but an opportunity to learn and grow. For Emily, that day became a turning point in her career. She realized the importance of attention to detail and the impact it could have on the guest experience. Jared's feedback turned out to be incredibly valuable, and it pushed her to be more vigilant in her work. The entire hotel staff benefited from Jared's feedback. They took the lessons to heart and made a concerted effort to improve the quality of their service. Jared, too, gained new insights into how his hotel was being run from a guest perspective. He realized how crucial it was to observe operations from the ground level, making adjustments that would enhance the overall guest experience. In the end, the hotel flourished. The improvements made as a result of Jared's visit helped streamline operations, improve guest satisfaction, and boost employee morale. Jared Blackwell's decision to approach the situation with understanding rather than reprimand created an environment of growth, making the hotel more successful than ever. What could have been a disaster turned into a turning point that ultimately benefited everyone involved. What a wild ride, right? One simple mistake, a CEO in disguise, and an unforgettable lesson. If this story blew your mind, smash that like button and subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Drop a comment below and let us know, what would you have done if you were Emily? Don't keep this crazy story to yourself. Share it with your friends, and let's get the word out. And don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss the next big surprise. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.